Good morning. Welcome back to the second hour of LoveBabz, LoveTalk on Babz Rawls-Ivy. I'm delighted today to have the folks from Booker T. Washington Academy on. And let me tell you something. They've got two of my favorite people over there. I don't know them sitting in front of me, but I do know Karen Droz, and I do know Dr. Carol Burke. So if they got those folks over there, then I know goodness and blessings will follow them. How are y'all doing, Dr. Hickman and Mr. Joseph?
Yes, ma'am.
How y'all doing?
We are doing just fine. Thank you for having us on this morning. We really appreciate it.
That's my pleasure.
Yeah, we're happy to be here. So,
all right. So tell me now. Listen, let's get started. Y'all have undergone some sweeping changes over at Booker T. Washington. So let's walk through the changes, and then tell me what the vision and the mission is for moving forward. And then you've got some upcoming events happening. So tell me about the changes.
Well, some of the changes is, as you talked about, we brought on Dr. Carol Burks to be our regional superintendent, and that has worked out quite well as she's helping to coach principals and taking a strong leadership role within the organization. We brought in a new principal at the middle school, Shemaine Johnson, and she comes with a lot of experience in administration and education. And we're excited about a number of changes that she's making there at the middle school. And then we've done some things organizationally, for example, like placing Mr. Joseph as the Director of Community and Family Engagement. And he does an absolutely fantastic job. And he's not paying me $5 to say this about him. He does a fantastic job getting out into the community, meeting families, meeting parents, recruiting young people and their families to come to the school. So yes, a lot of changes, a lot of exciting changes that are moving us and propelling us forward.
Now, Mr. Joseph, are you a musician?
Yes, yes, I am.
You should ask.
Don't I know you from the music world? And
you sure do. I was in a show about 3-4-ish years ago when we were promoting the symphony's performance.
Yes.
The Art and Ideas.
Yes. How you doing?
The first came into town.
Yes. How you doing? Are you still doing music, right?
You know what? It's here. It's my passion. It's my passion. But I'm still doing music. Yes.
Okay. All right. So tell me about the makeup of Booker T. Washington Academy. So you have an elementary school and what? Or
we get an elementary school and we also have a middle school. Our elementary school, our K4 building, we are on 806 State Street.
Yes, that's the one I know. That's the one I know right there. Yes.
That's the building that I am the principal of, and this is my
second
year as the building principal of K4.
Okay. And where's the elementary school? I mean, the middle school?
Yeah, so the middle school is 306 Circular Avenue in Hamden. So it's physically in Hamden, but it's still part of our New Haven school.
Okay. And so how many kids do y'all have?
So we have about 500 students. That's our
wow.
Yeah. Between both schools, about 300 at elementary and about 200 at the middle school.
Mm-hmm. And so tell me about the foundational, what was the thinking behind founding Booker T. Washington? I vaguely remember, refresh my memory.
Well, it was really about servicing students in a certain part of New Haven, New Harville. I'm not from this area, so some of my knowledge about certain areas of the area of New Haven, I don't know as intricately and as detailed as Mr. Joseph does. I'm originally from Pittsburgh. I want to get that out there. Let's go Steelers.
I'm sorry, home of August Wilson. I'm sorry.
There you go. Yeah. And actually, August Wilson is from the same neighborhood that our executive director, Mr. John Taylor, is from. They are from the exact same neighborhood, the Hill District.
Wow.
In Pittsburgh. This is one of the more famous African-American communities in the country. But I'll digress. I'll get back to Booker T. I can talk about African-American history all day long. But anyway, so to serve students from that corridor who were traditionally been underserved. And so the idea is to provide a robust, rigorous education. We focus a lot on literacy. Our students have 90 minutes of uninterrupted literacy instruction daily, which includes reading, and we have a real focus on writing this year. So the two of them go together, especially as it relates to teaching critical thinking. We also offer 60 minutes of uninterrupted math instruction. On top of that, we offer complementary academics. And here at the elementary building, that's dance, that's science, PE, social studies enrichment, which has a heavy focus on culturally relevant material, art, and social emotional learning. So a large part of the idea is that having an extended day, and our day is about an hour longer than others, is more time on task. Give students more time on task, and also use that time to provide interventions as opposed to catching them up. We want to provide them intervention as we see them needing additional time and additional support. We use that longer day to be able to have staff members on board to provide intervention.
And what time does the day start? What time does the day end?
We open our doors at 7:15. That's when students. And so students come in at that time. We open up early because we know we have a lot of working families.
Yeah. Oh no, I understand. I mean, I understand. I get it.
Our tardy time is 8 o'clock, and our academic day starts at 8:30.
Okay.
Then our academic day ends at 3:40 for our 3rd and 4th grade.
Okay, that's a long day for little kids.
It is a long day, which is why we have to pack it tightly with having 2 complementary academic classes each day. So they'll have, say, for example, PE and art in the same day. Plus, everybody gets a free lunch. Everybody receives a free lunch and a free breakfast as well.
Oh, I was going to ask about, now, do you buy into the New Haven Public School lunch breakfast program, or do you all provide your own lunch breakfasts?
No, we buy into the New Haven Public School system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so Booker T. Washington Academy is free. Is it free, or is it tuition based?
It is a public charter school.
Okay. So kids come there. How do parents get involved? How do parents say, what, I want to know more about that school?
Yeah, so I want to jump back just one quick thing. I must mention that we were initially started by Varick. Zion.
That's what I remember. Yeah. I remember that part. Yes.
And they work hard to get the school off the ground. We are now in our 9th year this year. And 2 years pre the pandemic, we were a school of distinction. So we had that reputation within the New Haven district, where we outperformed in different areas of the academic goals. So we want to make sure I mention that. The pandemic brought us all back a step. So hence why, as Dr. Hickman mentioned, our 90-minute block of reading is our goal and our focus, and where we're gonna really hammer down to get our kids reading and learning. You spoke about how do parents get involved, and how do parents know who we are. So we're doing enrollment right now.
Are you?
Yes, we are. We really want our children to be learning, and we know that this is the spot for them, Booker T. Washington Academy. And we're getting kids in the building still to get them activated and excited for what we need to get them. Our website, we have our enrollment information there, btwnewhaven.org. You can also contact me. Kenneth Joseph. but want to get them in here as well, so our families also volunteer, right? We want families in here working with the staff to educate our children. And that's the important thing. It's not theirs, it's not ours. It's all of ours together, because we work together to get it done.
So talk to me about, I just came off the board of chairing the Common Ground board. Mm-hmm. And I was on that board for quite some time. My kids came to that school. Talk to me about how do you deal with mental health challenges and kids coming to school with needing some extra support around mental health challenges? Because I always find that with charter schools, that seems to be a little bit challenging in terms of dealing with some of that, because you might not have the resources to sort of take that on. How do you assure parents that you can do that or not do that, or what's the policy?
What a great question. We can address that a number of ways. But like all traditional public schools, we are required by law to offer special education student services for students who have learning disabilities, who have IEPs. So we follow that law, we provide that. Also, if a family has a student who has a 504 agreement, maybe they have something that's a medical issue that's impacting their learning, we also are required by law to follow those things. We have full-time social workers at both buildings, at the middle school and at the K-4 building. So that's a big crux of that, making sure that we're meeting families' needs, having somebody who's in the building full-time who can reach out with parents if there's an issue with their child, or even if there's just an issue with a family that's going through some things. That happens. And in my experience as an educator, and I've been doing this now for over 26 years, a long time. That means I'm getting old. That you can't help a child and educate a child in a silo. You have to be willing to help out families as well. And we have a lot of families who have a lot of needs. And so the social worker plays an intimate role in that and plays a critical role in that. Also within our framework, you might have heard me mention the letters SEL earlier. Social emotional learning. We have a big push for social emotional learning. It's been in the news a lot as politicians have tried to make it out to be something that it's not. But really, it's a way of teaching students skills. A lot of them are soft skills that they will need in the workplace as they grow older, soft skills that they will need as students as they become older in grade level. But also it's about, emotional regulation. Coming off of COVID, we know a lot of our students have struggled with some of those things for a variety of reasons. Again, we know poor Black and brown communities got hit hardest when it came to COVID, when it came to death, when it came to families being hospitalized a lot, and we see some of that. So we help them out through our curriculum, and it's taught intentionally and every day to our students about social emotional learning, learning empathy, learning pride, perseverance, discipline, integrity, which are our virtues as well, which is pride, perseverance, responsibility, integrity, discipline, and empathy. So those are all things that we actively teach our students on.
So, are y'all a uniform?
Oh, when I was in Pittsburgh, I was a principal at a pilot program where we piloted students wearing uniforms in a public school setting. So not as a charter, but I was a principal where in that charter school, in that public school we did. And it makes a difference. Mm-hmm. It does make a difference. It creates a different atmosphere and a different tone in the building when students have to come and look in that manner.
Mm. So how do you all reach out to other, how do y'all reach out into the community? Is that part of what you do, or is that part of how folks can interact with the school? Say if you're, I think you're on State Street that's a different neighborhood than say Hampden. How do you connect these dots in these communities?
It's about really getting all the stakeholders involved, right? We know the immediate ones. We have our children, we have our families, we have our educators, but it's the folks who are next door, the pizza restaurants, the tire shop, the Dunkin' Donuts, and we have been actively, and he's laughing at Dunkin' Donuts because we've been actively working with them, and they're amazing. They've been supporting us as well on the corner of States and Humphrey, that Dunkin' Donuts. Tell them I sent you. But we've also been this summer actively involved in the community. We went to different events. Like this past Sunday, we were at Gap New Haven Festival on Gulf Street. Mm-hmm. We were at the Q House on Saturday on Dixwell for that event. We were last Wednesday in Hampden because the Hampden town provided some food for the community, and we were there just also supporting them, passing our flyers, getting our name out there as well too. So we are in the community just to get our name out there, to gather support as well too, because they can also help us in different ways to, again, the number one thing is educate our children. And part of our mission is to make them global citizens, right? Learn to read, learn to do your math, but also to think globally. What is, in the barbershop, what does it look like? On a radio show, what does it look like? Having those conversations all about different careers as well. So they're not going to come out here one track mind.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me about what the philosophy is for Booker T. Washington, and is there room to sort of ebb and flow as you discover new things that are needed, or as things arise that you're like, you know what, we need to build in this because we're starting to see that?
Yes. I mean, to sum it up, work hard, get smart. That's what we're about. We don't think our kids come to school already intelligent. We have a growth mindset that you come to school, you work hard, we can make you smart. We will get you smarter, right? That's what we believe the role of a teacher does, right? So it's not about kids coming in and we don't look at kids as if they come with bad things with them. We believe that our teachers, the expert that they are, can make our scholars smarter each and every day because they have the training, they have the pedagogy, we have the right curriculum to make sure that happens. And in terms of our ability, do we pivot? One thing that we do is we have a heavy emphasis on data. So we use data a lot, from testing, from anecdotal data, from observations that we do, and then we use that data to pivot based on what our instructional strategies might need to do. So we're always reforming small groups to make sure that the students who need that attention, maybe on fractions, which I would probably need me a little bit of as well, get that attention on fractions, whereas maybe when it comes to multiplication, they don't need it. But that we use that data to tell us that. And also in other ways, we use the data for attendance, for example. If we know we have certain kids who are not coming to school, then we're able to, with our attendance team, with our social worker, SEL, we're able to then move and meet with those families, talk about them, and come up with strategies and plans on how to improve. So data is a very big part of that in terms of being able to pivot, but also it's about having an open and, like I said, a growth mindset. You have to have a growth mindset where you don't think kids are fixed. That's one of the things that oftentimes in education, people think that a kid is fixed. That's a smart kid. That's a bad kid. You hear those things from people. And we don't use that language here. We talk about the choices that our students make, whether or not they're good choices or poor choices, how they can make better choices. And we talk about, you work hard, you get smart. My philosophy with my teachers is, if they didn't learn it, it's because you didn't teach it. So you got to go back and reteach it until it is that they get it.
So talk to me about your teachers, because everyone is having a teacher shortage. That's what we're hearing, that there's not enough teachers going around. And then teachers are having burnout, so they're leaving the profession. How do you all address that? Is it an issue over at Booker T. Washington Academy?
It's an issue nationwide. It's a multifaceted issue. I can tell you here from my experience, I got the best staff in the world. I mean, I tell you what, my teachers come to school every day and put in work. I tell them all the time, we are ride or die. That's just the way we roll. We're going to do it. We're going to do big things together. I have great teachers. I have a kindergarten team that is fantastic. I'm not going to name all of them. I could, but from top to bottom, they're fantastic. Turnover is an issue. Like you said, nationwide, it's an issue. Right now, we are fully staffed as far as our teachers are concerned. So we don't have that issue where there are gaps that people have to fill, where I know in other areas, other school districts, principals are having to go into classrooms and teachers. And I'm far beyond those days. Those days are behind me. So we don't have those particular issues, right? So we have stability with our staff, which I think, which is one of the things that should attract people to us, is that we have that stability, that teachers are here. We have committed teachers. They're absolutely fantastic. And when you come to this building in the middle school as well, we have school. There is learning going on. You go to any classroom and you see that's learning going on. And that's because, again, we have a strong staff. We have that strong support and foundation.
And just to pivot off of that, something that our ED, John Taylor, says all the time, whatever it takes. And he is someone that really embodies that, whatever it takes, because you will see him as our ED. He'll be moving furniture. He will be directing traffic. He will be doing buses. He will be building something in the building that needed to get constructed, putting up a smart board, whatever it needs. He is what really envisions that word, whatever the phrase, whatever it takes. And hence why, back up to, you have resources as well. So while we need the state funding to support our program, he also does, the ED also does, some grant writings with communities and stuff to get the funding to support our children. And again, I really want to say he really, really embodies whatever it takes. And he didn't pay me to say this either, but I had to say, because I believe in that, because I believe in that mission as well, to whatever it takes. So when, John Taylor or, Dr. Hickman says, hey, let's do this. Can you help with this? It's like, yeah, because that's how we roll, as we say down here.
I love it.
We just do it.
That's right. And also I'll add on to that, that mission and vision of Mr. Taylor, that, being the founding executive director, continuing to be the executive director, is what brought me here. Like I said, I'm from out of state, and, came up here on a lark looking for something, and spoke to Mr. Taylor and was sold. It certainly helped that he was from Pittsburgh and was a Steelers fan, the same way I am. I got to get that in there a second time. Even though the Patriots beat us, that's okay. I don't hold a grudge. But that's what sold me to pack up my life and come here, is because of that, whatever it takes, because of that work hard, get smart mantra that fits so much into my belief system as an educator, that I got to be a part of this. And again, since we are a charter school and not a traditional public school, we do require and also take in funds, fund donations, fundraising activities. So we do look for those opportunities. If there's anybody out there who has a checkbook that's open and a pen with some ink in it, please, by all means, give us a contact. We certainly take donations at any level. Because we want to make sure our students and our scholars have the best resources that we can have. And like you said, as we change and pivot and as things grow and develop, then maybe sometimes you do need to buy different materials and resources. So, and I've never heard somebody say they have too much money. That's just.
So talk to me about the school's name is Booker T. Washington. That's a Black person. Is there Black history stuff going on? Not Black, yeah. Is there Black history built into the curriculum or into the educating of kids beyond February? Okay. And I'm talking Black and Latino kids, because now, like, this is Latino Heritage Month, right? Mm-hmm. Is there things, I mean, do you feel compelled, or are you excited, or find it necessary to sort of teach children age-appropriate history about Black and Brown culture?
Without question. I taught social studies and I taught African-American history. So I don't believe I would be a part of a school that did not center that, whether it was for Hispanics, for African-Americans. Culturally relevant education is what we have. And we have a director of diversity and inclusion who works with our teachers explicitly to make sure that they are incorporating culturally relevant Hispanic, African-American, whatnot, that deals with economics, because we can't teach history from there are different ways of teaching history from a class perspective as well. So we need to make sure that we incorporate those parts into it as well. But like I said, I would be remiss, I would not work in a school where that was not the case. And you talked about Booker T. Washington. He is a giant figure in African-American and American history in general. But that mantra of cast down your bucket, wherever you are, you sit in where you are, and whatever skills and knowledge that you have at that point, you use that to the best of your abilities to grow as a person and to grow your community. Now, there's always some competition between Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois, in terms of their philosophies. And I think really, for me, I'm a historian, so I can go on and on, Fabulous Babz. So tell me to shut up if you need me to. So I can go on. But I think it's a false argument. I think you can do both things. You can be self-sufficient economically. I mean, who doesn't want to be self-sufficient economically, right? What community doesn't want that? And that's a big part of Booker T. Washington's philosophy was. And that's what we want to train our kids to do. We don't want them, I'm trying to create business owners. I'm trying to create employers, not just employees, not that there's anything wrong with that, but we want our kids to see themselves as owners, as controllers of their own destiny.
I raised the question because so much of the conversation across this country is around this ridiculous idea of critical race theory that is taken out of context and applied wholesale across educational systems across this country, with some states tying teachers' hands behind their back about what they can and cannot teach around Black and Hispanic culture and history. And so I raise that because I know places are struggling with how do we, how do we do that and not have, people boycotting and protesting and carrying on out of ignorance. That's why I raised that.
Yeah, it's a great question. Your framing of it is spot on in terms of critical race theory and the nonsense that people are doing to use that as a political football to not talk about these things, right? So you just have to be committed to it and tell people that the stories that we're telling are still American stories, right? It's just from different perspectives. And when I was a teacher, I taught my students, that history is about perspective. If you don't understand perspective, then you really don't get a good idea of understanding history in and of itself. And everybody's perspective is as equally important, but you have to understand the perspective. And I think that's critical.
So talk to me about testing scores and what the state requires and the state measures. Because, at the end of the day, there are some guidelines that you have to hit, right? And no matter if you're a charter school or a public school, everybody in the education game has to hit these measures that are set forth through the state. So how are y'all doing with those?
Yeah, so like a lot of schools around the country, COVID is a monster and it set us back. And so 2 years ago, the state suspended using the test scores and whatnot. And so last year was the first time that we used them. And so we're kind of using that as a reset, as a baseline for us now to see where it is that we need to adjust and adapt our program so that we can move forward to meet those state targets and those state targets. We were one of the top schools in the state in terms of growth. What our focus has been on last year and this year is really growing students. I talked about that growth mindset. We know COVID set our scholars back for a variety of reasons. When you went online, not everybody had the best internet service when you're talking about poor and working class folks. Those things matter, you know what I'm saying? And so some folks had a 12-year-old at home helping their 5-year-old. So, it was a struggle for a lot of our scholars, right? So we know we had to grow them and try to catch them up. So we had some of the highest growth levels on some of the measures that we use, like the NWEA measure in the country. I'm talking 99th percentile for grade levels in ELA and in math. So although some of those state targets we did not hit, we know with some of the other measures that we're using, our students are growing by leaps and bounds, like exponentially. So they can make up some of that learning loss that took place during COVID.
So, listen, I know a charter school requires additional funds. You got to raise some money. I know you get money, you get educational dollars from the state. They're not on par with the public schools, but you get some dollars. How do you fill in the gaps? How do you raise money? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, that's why our ED is out there, talking to folks. Like you got to ask them. And I know after this show, you're going to give us a check for $1 million as well. No.
Half. She said half.
Oh, half a million? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's what we have to do. We really have, there are grants that we apply for to cover, specific things. And we keep doing those kind of things. We are accepting donors. We have different partners that are already established that we work with from year to year. But other than that, we just got to keep asking and just, putting ourselves out there in the community. We have a lot of good things happening here, and it's just kind of getting that out so folks can know what we are doing. As you mentioned Booker T before, who is an alum of Hampton, University, sorry. The HU. I won't get into that war right now. It's not my place.
Wait. Dr. Hickman, where'd you go to school?
Oh, proud graduate of the University of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I'm from Pittsburgh. Go Steelers.
Okay.
Third time. But we just partnered with Hampton University where we're offering some of our staff members their first bachelor degree, at no cost to them.
Wow.
And it's something that we're looking into. It's a pilot project, and once it's successful, we'll open it up for parents as well too that have scholars at our school.
And that's for any staff. So we have, that's for teachers to get some of that education. That's for our academic assistants to get some of those things. So that's everybody. And so when we talk about it being a family atmosphere here, it extends beyond the scholars and their families, but it also extends to our employees, right? So we also make sure that we try to support our family, our teachers, and their families the best way they can. So I think that's important. And again, I'm older than a lot of my staff. I'm at that point in my career. So I oftentimes find myself, just giving other advice to them that, a principal might not normally do, you know what I'm saying? So it might be financial advice or things like that. Because I know, this gray hair has given me a little means I got wisdom. So it is very much, we are very much a family, and that's important to us. And again, that starts from the top down. Again, I would not have come all this way if I didn't feel like Mr. Taylor, as the executive director, didn't set that tone from the top.
So what would you say to parents who might listen to this, who are listening now, or who might go back and listen? Well, you know what? I'm thinking about putting my kids somewhere because they're at the age where I got to make some decisions about where they go to school. What would you invite them to why and how would you invite them to look at Booker T. Washington Academy?
You want to find a school that really cares about your children, and make sure that it's a safe, caring, nurturing environment. And that is Booker T. A couple of things to think about. We're a smaller school. This K4 building, while the number 300 seems a lot, it's a much smaller space than most of the traditional public schools. And you have smaller class sizes where the important thing is that the teachers really get to know each of their scholars. From day one, and they come in, we do a testing system. We test them to know what they know. So the next, we can start putting supports in place, either enrichment or either remediation, right? We need to get them where they are and how to be successful. So that's one of the big things. Safe environment, caring, nurturing. We're going to push them to be the best that they can be, because at the end of the day, if you don't give them that opportunity, they'll never get that. We have to give them that opportunity to be successful, because they are.
I like it.
And what I would just add on is if anybody wants to come and actually take a look, take a tour, they can come down at any point in time.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Anytime. If my schedule is open, I will most certainly walk them around personally myself. Because I want people to see exactly what it is that we're doing here. We are doing good things here. And we talked earlier about partnerships in the community. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the partnership that we have with the church next door to us, St. Stanislaus Church. And we work very closely to them. This is the building, was their old high school here that we're using now, right on State Street. And we have a great relationship with Father Sebastian, with the diocese, in terms of using these facilities, using this facility, and them helping us out. So again, that community partnership, those partnerships are so important. And I misspoke earlier, and I want to make sure that I talk things correctly in terms, because the partnership with Hampton is for the first bachelor. So that's not teachers, but so that is directly focused on some of our support staff who might not have gone to finish that first bachelor's. Because sometimes the way in which schools like ours can be supported doesn't always have to be monetarily, right? Well, that's what we want. So we want that $500,000 that we know is getting ready to come at the end of this interview. But sometimes that support can come in other ways. And this type of connection is something that's absolutely fabulous that can do that.
Yeah, I mean, we really want to also, we talk about supporting our scholars, but it's also our adults in the building, because the more they are supported, the more they can give into our babies. So the Hampton University, we do also, between both buildings, elementary and middle school, we intentionally try to provide and support them in that self-care as well too. Occasionally give them back some time. We don't have the funding, but that, here's a little hour back in your day, leave early, come in a little later, those simple things just to get some extra rest, because we need our staff, all of them, everyone to the pivotal role, to be 100% to give in and point to our babies.
I love it. Are there any upcoming events you want to put out there before we wrap up our conversation? Absolutely.
We have our open house next week. We have the elementary school is on Tuesday the 27th at 6 p.m. 804 State Street. Our middle school is on Wednesday, 28th at 6 p.m. at 306 Circular Avenue in Hamden. And for any parents out there, if your child doesn't attend Booker T. Washington Academy, on the open house, you can absolutely attend. Just let me know. I'll invite you and I'll take care of myself. You can meet some teachers, see what's happening. And the same throughout the day between either the buildings. Reach out to me. I can leave my number here, 203-623-6737. That's my direct line. Or else you can find me on the website, btwanewhaven.org.
Okay.
Just hit me up.
It's been my absolute pleasure to talk to y'all. It's good to hear what's going on at Booker T. Washington Academy. It's back on my radar. So
we're so happy and thankful and grateful that you had us on this morning.
No, I want y'all to come back and follow up and let me know. Seriously, come back, particularly when you're having events or starting your fundraising campaigns. Come back, spend some time, talk to me, tell me what's going on.
Love to do it. Thank you very much.
Well,
thank y'all.
Let's do either we come to your studio or you stop by the building.
Wait a minute now. There we go. A remote. Isn't that what they call it in the business? A remote.
We can do a remote. Okay, Harry Jones, you hear them inviting us, right? He's our station manager and my producer. So he makes all those kinds of things happen.
I know somebody who can maybe talk him into that.
So, all right. Well, thank you all so much for being such good guests, Dr. Hickman and Mr. Joseph. I really enjoyed this conversation today. So y'all have the rest of your good day. Mr. Joseph, I hope I hear you play somewhere soon.
I hope so as well, too.
Okay. Y'all take good care and say hi to my soror, Dr. Carol Burks, and my good friend, Karen Droz.
I will do that. Yes, indeed.
All right. Take good care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.